Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us for this week's Bible study here at the prayer page. We are going to be starting off at we're going to be starting off at Isaiah chapter 40, verses 20 through 31. Isaiah chapter 40, verses 20 through 31. And as we get started, just as a reminder, our outlines are available. Outlines for today's Bible study will be available through our Facebook page, facebook.com/theprayerpageus. They'll be in the comment section there. As well, they will be available on our website, theprayerpage.org, in the comment section there as well. And don't forget, we have a channel on YouTube. It's called the Prayer Page channel. We would love for you to subscribe to the channel, and when you do so, if you click onto the little bell icon, you'll get notifications whenever we have our Bible study or any type of special announcement via YouTube. You'll get notifications that way. So, again, we're looking at Isaiah chapter 40, verses 28 through 31. We're continuing our series on the names of God. Today we're going to be looking at Elohim Olam. Elohim Olam. Let's take a look here what God's Word has to say here at Isaiah chapter 40, verses 28 through 31. Isaiah writes here, he says, "Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary? There is no searching of his understanding. He gives power to the faint, and to them that hath no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young man shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." So we're looking at that in verse 28, and you'll see on the outline I've highlighted it and underlined the everlasting God. The Hebrew word for that term is Elohim Olam. Now, Elohim means God. Olam, it's a noun. It's a masculine noun. It's in the Hebrew. It's a masculine noun. It means forever. So, God the everlasting is what he's saying here. God the everlasting, the God of forever. And we need to remember, and it's hard for us to wrap our brains around this, our minds around the fact that God is everlasting. God always has been and always will be. In our minds, we can't fathom that. There's everything that we touch in life eventually is going to come to an end. You know, we have expiration date on food, even spam. I mean, granted, spam can last for a long time, but it can't last forever. Eventually, even spam will go bad. My wife, her cell phone has been acting up. Cell phones, you know, we use them, but they're not going to last forever. You can get warranties for them. They're not going to last forever. The house that I'm sitting in, 2 years ago yesterday, it's a double wide. 2 years ago yesterday, the house was put together. So the house itself is about 2 years old. But this, again, will not last forever. Things just don't last forever, but except God. He's always has been. He always will be. He's like, and you've seen this, I'm sure, many times at weddings. Symbol of a wedding, the circle. One thing about a circle, doesn't have a beginning. It doesn't have an end. It's infinite. Well, that's what God is. He always has been. He always will be. I want to take a look at, I mentioned this chapter earlier, but almost mentioned this earlier. Go to the book of Psalms, chapter 9. Psalms chapter 90. I'm sorry, I think I may have said Psalms chapter 9. Psalms chapter 90. Now I want to look at the first 4 verses here of Psalms chapter 90. Now the theme of this chapter is the eternal God. We're not going to read all 17 verses. I would encourage you, some point here soon, I would encourage you to read the entire chapter, but I just want to concentrate on the first 4 verses. David writes here, oh, I'm sorry, this is from Moses. This is a prayer of Moses. This is a prayer of Moses, Psalms chapter 90, verse 1. Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, and listen to this part, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. Thou turnest man to destruction, and sayest, return ye children of men. Verse 4, for 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past, and as a watch in the night. Moses here, he recognized. Now remember, Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch. He wrote Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. So God was here for creation, so obviously he was around before creation. And again, we can't comprehend it, but we have birthdays, for example. I had my birthday last month. My wife had her birthday last month. Our birth dates are only 20 days apart. But there was a time in my life, May 3rd, 1971, was when I was born. Before then, 9 months before then, I was in my mother's womb, but then before that, I didn't exist. I wasn't around. But God, he always has been. He doesn't have a birthday. Always has been, always will be. That's what Moses is telling us here, and he even takes it to another level. For God, 1,000 years is like a day. So, put it in perspective. We think of the Apostle Paul as an example. He's been dead about not quite, but almost 2,000 years. Round numbers, 2,000 years. Well, for God, that's just 2 days ago. And I've been like, for God, it's like Paul died on Wednesday. But for us, it's been 2,000 years. But 1,000 years to God is nothing. Yeah. So, you hear people say, well, we preach, and it's true, God can return at any time. We don't know when Christ is going to return, but he can return at any time. And you'll hear people say, they've been saying that for 2,000 years, and he hasn't shown up. Oh, yeah, because 2,000 years to him is 2 days. So, yeah. He's coming back. We just don't know when. But the beauty of this is that, God always was, he always will be, and he never changes. So we can hold in the fact that God is an everlasting God, always has been, always will be, and he never changes. So, when people change, circumstances change, God never changes. We can put our trust in God, who is from everlasting to everlasting. I want to thank you for watching this week. It's a short lesson. Appreciate you watching. We will be back again next Friday, continuing our series on the names of God. Until then, have a safe week. Thank you for watching, and God bless.